Hi, I'm just checking USGS website because there has been a small earthquake centered in Concord. It just happened a few minutes ago at 12:11 p.m. So if you felt some shaking in the East Bay, this is why. Again, a magnitude 3.2 earthquake centered in Concord. So this is a very populated area of the city. You can see right there where that red dot is where the earthquake was centered. At this time, we haven't received any calls about problems because of this earthquake. No reports of any injuries, but you can see on our seismograph, it hit it right there about a few minutes ago, a 3.2 magnitude earthquake centered in Concord. We'll keep you posted. We'll make some calls to the police and fire department to see if there are any reports of damage or injuries, but usually at this magnitude, there's no damage at all. Maybe some brief jolts and shaking, but nothing of significance. But it is a good reminder to pack your earthquake kit, your go bag. You need to have a few days of water and canned goods and food, and have your good reminder to replace the batteries in your flashlight and have those working, and any emergency documents and copies that you should have prepared if you need to leave in a moment, just in case there is a gas leak or a water main break, or certain things like that can happen with a minor earthquake. But at this time, a 3.2, we haven't received basically any calls of this earthquake. I'm checking social media right now if anybody felt it, but if you felt it, you definitely give us a call. Meteorologist VNA Arana has also been tracking this earthquake, and it's a good reminder for everyone to be prepared in event of earthquake. We don't know what fault line this is at. Usually right there, we've heard reports of the Hayward fault, and at this time, no reports of any aftershocks or anything of note. And again, a 3.2 earthquake at 12:11 in Concord. So if you did feel it, give us a call and let us know what you felt, if it was a jolt, how long it lasted. Yeah, this area, we don't see many earthquakes centered around Concord, but definitely something worth noting if it jolted you around lunchtime. 3.2 magnitude earthquake centered just outside city limits of Concord, and I'm checking social media right now to see if anybody has felt it, but at this time, no reports of any damage or injuries. But it's very important to be ready for an earthquake. We do live in earthquake country, and yeah, nobody's actually tweeting too much about it at this time. Our VNA Arana, meteorologist VNA Arana, she's going to join us right now to give us more information about what we know from the USGS website. But at this time, a 3.2 magnitude earthquake hit at 12:11, and we just received some calls from Oakland. People in Oakland have also felt it, have felt the shaking, and Lafayette as well, but really centered around the East Bay is where people felt this earthquake. And we're here in the South Bay of San Jose, and we did not feel the jolt, but we saw it on the seismograph very clearly that this happened at 12:11. 3.2 magnitude earthquake. And Pleasanton, we're also getting a call. So Concord, Pleasant Hill, Pleasanton, Oakland, yes, if you're centered around there, you would have definitely felt some jolting. Let's bring in our meteorologist, VNA Arana. VNA, are you there?
Yes, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Hello. Hi. Yeah, this right now looks to be centered off of potentially either the Hayward fault, which is considered likely one of the most dangerous by seismologists, just based on location and also the amount of people that live directly above this fault line. If we could go ahead and take my maps, I can give you an idea of placement whenever we reference the Hayward fault. We're talking about also an area that is near that Concord Green Valley fault as well. You know, we have a number of fault lines throughout the Bay Area, not just the San Andreas fault. And if you take a look at this map, the red lines give you perspective of some of what are considered the most active faults in the Bay Area. So far, just 6 right here showing you on this map. Now we're still waiting to hear confirmation of exactly which fault line this happened to be on. Again, this could also have happened within that intersection there, just based on placement between that Greenville-Hayward fault. We've also got the Calaveras fault that stretches in through parts of Livermore, stretching all the way down through parts of the South Bay. But again, waiting to see exactly which fault line this occurred on. Now the red line is just to give you an idea of exactly where it falls. They're much more complex. They can turn at various corners from left to right. And when we're talking about magnitudes, this still is considered what would be a minor quake. Just to give you an idea, it's stretching from 2, all the way from minor to great earthquakes. When we're talking about anything between the 3 to 4 marker, they're often felt, but we tend to see little to no damage. About 100,000 happen per year, and it could have the energy equivalent of 1,000 pounds of explosives. So this is what would be considered a minor earthquake at 3.2. Once we start navigating into that 4-5 category, we could see a bit more noticeable shaking. About 10,000 of those happen per year, and it could have the energy equivalent of about 33,000 pounds of explosive once we get into that 4 to 5 marker. But right now we're at that 3.2. Another thing that we look out for as well is when we're looking at the magnitude of this shaking, the depth of where the earthquake has happened. If it tends to be closer to the surface level, we tend to see a bit more destruction just based on the placement. Some of the fault lines where this could have happened, as we wait for confirmation from USGS, the Hayward fault, again, that stretches all the way through Oakland, Hayward, Fremont, all the way down to San Jose. And just to give you an idea, the last major earthquake that we had near this area happened on October 21st, 1868, and it was a magnitude 6.8. Unfortunately, sadly, 30 people were killed. And at the time, this was known as the Great San Francisco Earthquake. Up until that 1906 San Andreas earthquake happened, and that was a 7.9. So again, on a magnitude scale, this would still be considered a minor earthquake, but it could feel often as a bit of a jolt. So if you felt this, it's likely that you felt it for a matter of seconds. Now, USGS has hundreds of sensors throughout the entire state of California. We're talking about fault lines that extend hundreds of miles beyond the Bay Area, stretching out through central and southern California. And these sensors tend to pick up that initial jolt. But USGS then goes in, verifies that data, that information, and that's when they either change the magnitude that initially comes in, which is why this would be considered a preliminary number. They can either go up or down. We also don't know if this would be considered the main shake, the aftershock, or the post-shock of an earthquake. That's another number that we look for. If we start to see a bit more activity when it comes to this area, these could be considered clusters. But again, right now we're just getting that 3.2 number. And if we're looking at the magnitude scale here, a 3.2 has the energy equivalent of about 1,000 pounds of explosive, which is why even though it's a minor quake, you may have felt a bit of that jolt. Now, if we look at the map here of the Bay Area, and some of the most active patterns tend to happen around some of the major fault lines, but we always wait for confirmation. Again, if we feel any other shaking, or if you felt shaking in your area, please make sure to let us know. So far, it looks like this could be a minor quake waiting for confirmation on fault line. Could have either happened on the Hayward or also the Concord Greenville fault as well. Janelle?
Okay, thanks for all those details, VNA. Yeah, people definitely felt it in East Bay. We are getting some calls now. Robert from Martinez joins us live by phone. Hi, Robert. What did you feel? What were you doing? And what did it feel like? How long was the shaking?
Hey, Janelle. It didn't shake but just a few seconds, but we are on the Martinez Pleasant Hill border, and it was a nice little shake.
Would you say it was a quick shake?
Yeah, it probably lasted about maybe 3-4 seconds.
Yeah, did it shake you out of your chair, or did you know it was right away it was an earthquake?
Nothing shakes me out of my chair.
Yeah, this is an area where there's several fault lines, so you're probably used to these little tremors where you live.
I am.
Yeah. Does it does it bother you anytime? Are you always nervous, and do you have a go bag ready?
I have a go bag ready. I got canned food, got water, and it doesn't really bother me. But you always live in the Bay Area and experience the '89 quake. Excuse me. you think about it.
Yeah, the 89 quake, I remember that very well. The Loma Prieta earthquake, 5:04 p.m. October 17th. So we are used to major earthquakes. So what do you have in your go-by bag besides canned foods? Just to remind everybody what to prepare.
Well, I have in my to-go bag. I got canned food. I have some water, and then I have emergency weather radio.
Oh wow!
And that's pretty much it in the to-go bag. And then I have another little bag where we have important papers.
Okay, thank you, Robert Keith from Martinez. We appreciate your time. And we'll have another local news update in about 30 minutes.